What's going on, everybody? This is John J Gaming on the mic here, coming at you with a brand new episode of the Dayton Triangles franchise here on Madden 25, featuring 31 other team builder squads to create the revamped UFL. It's been a tough season here in year number 5 for the Dayton Triangles, as we are 0-4. But we have another primetime game against Salt Lake City. I love what we did offensively last week. Our defense just simply cannot catch a break, and that's been evident throughout the course of this season because we have the top scoring offense in the league, but we also have the worst defense in the league by a country mile, certainly in terms of stopping that passing attack. With that being said, we got an interesting matchup against Salt Lake City, who is looking to try to get above 500, but we are certainly trying to avoid that. We are trying to still get our first win this season, so I'm hoping that we can make that happen here in this episode. Either way, there's certainly going to be some fireworks in this one that I hope you guys are excited for, but we have a couple of things that we got to take care of before we jump into that matchup. So, with that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, man. And if you are excited as I am, make sure you go ahead and do a couple of things for me. Hit that like button, and then also hit that subscribe button as well if you do happen to be brand new. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into this press conference to see what kind of questions that we have to take from the Gem City media. Alright, so we go ahead and check in on how things are going with in-season training, and a few of our reserve players in the defensive backfield do get upgrades. Zaire Furman, for example, who is a 4th round pick for us in this past UFL draft, he does get an upgrade, and we'll give it to him in terms of that man-to-man coverage. He jumps up to a 72 overall, which, you know, I'm happy of his abilities already. I think he is going to end up being a steal. Get some nice bonuses in man and zone coverage. That brings him up to a 72 overall. Chris Gentry, on the other hand, is somebody that has been a reserve player since he's entered the league for us. When we drafted him, did have an interception that he did have a pick 6 for, but we're going to go ahead and drop it off in terms of run support, and he actually gets 2 overalls from that particular upgrade. The +3 to play recognition is extremely nice. He jumps up to a 71 overall because of that, which is really cool to see. And then George Hendricks. George Hendricks is the last person that we have to give an upgrade to. And, you know, we're still working on developing George Hendricks. You know, someone that I don't think is very usable at this time. Needs some time to develop before he sees the field consistently. So we'll work on his zone coverage this time around. He jumps up to a 66 thanks to the upgrade, thanks to mainly a +2 in zone coverage, among other things. But definitely still a work in progress at this time. So let's go ahead and get things officially underway against the Salt Lake City Condors, as we still try to figure out if we can win our first game of the season. And it starts with this drive. You know, our defense has struggled tremendously. I mean, and giving up 50 points against what was the worst offense in the league certainly does not inspire any sort of confidence. So we'll see if our defense can just play adequate. You know, just give us a shot to win the game. That's really all that I'm asking for at this point, as Michael Doherty, we got him onto a 3rd and short, but they are going to, in fact, convert that first down off of a quick passing pattern. And so the drive will continue for the Salt Lake City Condors, as now looks like they're going to go play action over the middle, and Denario Allen, he had his hands on it. Oh man, Denario Allen had a chance to make a massive play, but instead it's going to be 2nd and 10. Hopefully that does not really haunt our defense moving forward, as we will give up a first down the very next play. And now they're in Gem City territory. A couple of plays later, they'll go over to the right-hand side, and Denario Allen trying his best to give chase, but actually needs a help in order to bring down Derek Irons, as that will indeed get Salt Lake City actually on the verge of the red zone. We'll see if they can get here on this particular play, and it looks like they might. Cameron Spencer, the last line of defense, finally able to bring him down, but not before getting inside the 5-yard line. as it will set up a goal line situation for Salt Lake City. Running up the middle of the field, and it's going to be ran into the end zone. Touchdown, Salt Lake City, as Marcus Dockery gets the scoring started. So an opening drive touchdown is not exactly what we wanted to see, but that is what we will get anyways. And so we'll go ahead and get things started here, starting with a little screen to DeAndre Bazier, who does make a man miss in the open field, as that will in fact pick up another first down there, as already we're sitting at midfield ourselves looking for that quick answer. Is now 3rd and long coming up. We send Jonathan McGriff into motion, looking upfield, wants to try to scramble, but the ball is on the ground, and Barry Elfman, the former first-round pick out of the University of Oregon, is able to recover it, but well short of the sticks. So we do have to punt this football away, so we cannot answer back the initial touchdown drive. So that means that we actually need our defense to play a lot better, but I am not optimistic after that particular throw. And it just goes to show that we got to get some pressure on Michael Dougherty. Otherwise, it is going to be a very long prime time matchup. Because even when we lock things down downfield, if they're still able to find running lanes and this quarterback can run, which he is in fact a more mobile quarterback, that is going to create significant problems for us down the line. But we get a little lucky there. Michael Dougherty had the ball slip out of his hands. It is a rainy day, and so that's how we're able to get our first stop of the day, which, I mean, at this point, you know, you just kind of take what you can get, right? So with that being said, 3rd and short coming up. We're going to try to move the sticks for another first down as Marvin Whitfield drops back in the shotgun, looks over to the left-hand side and finds Leon Thomas for a massive first down. The 28-year-old out of Michigan, able to keep the drive alive for the time being. As now, a couple of plays later, Whitfield with a empty backfield is going to dump it off to the second-year man out of Oklahoma State, Mitch Woodson, as that is going to bring an end to the first quarter of action. And while we do find ourselves down 7-0 already, we are at least putting together a promising drive. So let's see if we can go ahead and keep this promising drive going, as we're going to try to get this ground game going. It was a little bit quiet in the first quarter, but we finally find some significant running room for Jonathan McGriff, who gets his biggest run of the day, and because of that is able to move the sticks yet again for another first down. And if we want to make sure that we win games, it might have to be a time where we got to win the time possession. And that means that we're going to have to put together some more methodical drives and maybe what we are used to, but that also means that we have to stay in front of the schedule. We have to remain on target, and being in 3rd and long or 2nd and long situations, certainly not ideal, as Salt Lake City sends 5, and while we dump it off to Leon Thomas, he is going to be well short that first down marker, and that is going to cause us to go ahead, and we will settle for the field goal. So the good news is that we do at least get points on the board, but with that being said, we need our defense to get to another stop here. But it looks like Salt Lake City, after getting explosive play down the middle of the field, they are in fact going to be in Dayton territory once again, but this time we do much better job of getting pressure on the quarterback. It is Paul Hitchens who is now demoted to that backup middle linebacker position so that we can give Jeff Sharp more playing time. At the same token though, Paul Hitchens is still a productive player even as he enters into his 30s. And speaking of those backup linebackers, don't look now, but Paul Hitchens, he was able to get into the backfield once again. So it's now 3rd and 30. And all I ask is for my defenders, please do not get beat deep. That is all that I'm asking. And we'll get much more than that. Cameron Spencer able to apply the pressure and officially put a nail in the coffin on this particular drive. And so Salt Lake City has to punt the ball away. So we'll start our next drive at about the 40-yard line as we'll go ahead and run the ball up the gut with Jonathan McGriff, who gets sucked on into offensive lineman for a quick second. But, man, we had a wide but naked open hole. Should have picked up more than 6 yards, but hey, like I said earlier, we're just trying our best to remain on schedule. That is all that you can ask for sometimes. As now we got a 2nd and 6 coming up. We're going to run it up the gut yet again as Jonathan McGriff gives me a gritty 5 yards. And on 3rd and short, it really opens up our playbook here. But I want to get a quick pass off because they're not really expecting it. Trying to throw over to the right-hand side. One in Grayson Heineck, but it's going to be incomplete. And our first really interesting decision of the day. And you already know what time it is. We are the best rushing offense in the league. We're going to run for it. And Jonathan McGriff is going to be able to move the sticks for a Dayton Triangles first down. And that means the drive will, in fact, continue. As one of the last plays of the 2-minute warning, we tried to set up the halfback screen to Jonathan McGriff, but the time was just off on that particular screen. And so 3rd and 12, as we try to make some noise here before the end of the first half. Whitfield in the shotgun for a 5-wide set. Looks over to the right-hand side, and what a dot to DeAndre Bazier. Big play, and that will carry us into the 2-minute warning. But also with a red zone chance as well. First red zone opportunity for Dayton Triangles as Marvin Whitfield lines up in the shotgun once again. Fires quickly over to right inside and wanted to get it out to Mitch Woodson. But he can't quite hang on to it. And so after a short run by Jonathan McGriff, we have 3rd and 6. Trying to pick up the first down, firing over the middle for Leon Thomas, who wills his way into the end zone. Touchdown, Dayton! And that is going to give us the lead against the Salt Lake City Condors, as Leon Thomas gives us that desperately needed lead. But the million-dollar question is, can we hold on to that lead, and can we get consistent stops? That is another big-time question that I have going forward, as Michael Daughtry does pick up the first down through the air. Does give him now more than 100 yards of passing here in this first half. So really not a shabby first half at all for Michael Daughtry. Although his rest of the team does need to generally step up. We'll see if he can actually get those step-ups or not. As now, Daughtry drops back to pass and fires over to the right-hand side and finds a receiver for the first down. Eventually brought down, but I believe it was Matthew Arnett that made the play there. And then Paul Hitchens is also able to get his third tackle today. His first tackle that was not from a sack. But they're certainly moving with some proficiency. But that should put a corkscrew in this one, as one of the offensive linemen also goes down in addition to the injury as well. And so because of that, it's going to be 3rd and 11. Salt Lake City is forced to use one of their timeouts. So 3rd and 11 are going to throw for it on 3rd and long, and it's caught. Cooper is able to maintain the concentration. And because of that, Salt Lake City has a chance at the end zone. Looking over to the left-hand side, but it's going to be completed back over to Cooper. And from there, Salt Lake City is going to settle for the field goal. And that's going to take us to the end of the first half. It's been a very competitive first half so far. Tied at 10 apiece. And with that being said, now that we're in the middle of the Sunday window, we'll go ahead and now check on some of the scores around the UFL just to see what's going on, as Orlando has a slight lead against Pittsburgh for the time being. Pittsburgh, a team to certainly watch out for as we play next week. Well, we lost to that Orlando Guardians team. They're looking for a 3-2 record. Meanwhile, the New Orleans Breakers are putting the brakes on the Tampa Bay Bandits as they're blowing out them 28-7. And then finally, the Columbus Destroyers. They were in a shootout against Arlington, but will come up short. So the Columbus Destroyers will fall to 1-4. That's going to be enough of your halftime report, though, as we'll now go ahead and jump right into the second half of action. Now, good news for us is that we do get this ball to start the second half, but we got to be able to actually do something with it. And on a 3rd and 10, we are going to be hard-pressed to actually make that happen, as Whitfield's going to drop back on a 3rd and 10, looking over to the left-hand side as Leon Thomas gets down the sideline and is going to be able to get himself out of bounds shortly before actually reaching to about midfield. But regardless, that's going to be a first down for Dayton, as they'll run it on the RPO for Jonathan McGriff. That is something that I definitely want to do. I felt like our running game was very inconsistent in that first half of action. Don't want to, while Marvin Whitfield's been doing a very spectacular job, at the same token, though, we got to make sure that Marvin Whitfield has a balanced running game behind him. Otherwise, they're going to key on him a lot more in the second half, as they'll throw over the middle again, finding Leon Thomas, who is going to be able to procure his 5th catch of the evening, as that will extend the drive for Dayton once again. As now, 1st and 10 once more. We're going to throw over to the left-hand side as DeAndre Bossier actually will get the ball then and there on the RPO, and will actually pick up the first down and a few more yards on top of that. So another red zone opportunity, one that has been very fruitful for Dayton so far. They scored a touchdown on the last red zone possession. We'll see if they can make another one happen here, but first, we do see that Grayson Heidick actually ends up getting hurt. And so that does mean the 2nd-round rookie in Hayward is going to come into the game and play a more pronounced role, coming in and blocking for Jonathan McGriff. And McGriff just has a wide, butt-naked open hole on his way into the end zone. And that will, in fact, be a touchdown for your Dayton Triangles. And we're going to be able to take our first lead of the day, actually. No, not our first lead of the day. We were up 10-7. I did forget about that. But this is certainly our biggest lead that we have had thus far in our primetime matchup against the Salt Lake City Condors. But with that being said, we did force Salt Lake City to actually go 3 and out. Imagine that. And we have a golden opportunity to extend this lead and give ourselves a little bit of breathing room in the process, as Whitfield drops back the pass, fires over to the left-hand side, and Hayward is going to pick up those yards. That's the 2nd-round rookie that we brought in from the UFL draft. Definitely has some extreme promise. But with that being said, we got to see what Grayson Heidick is capable of moving forward, as now we have reached to about midfield, as Whitfield is going to go ahead and run it up the middle for a solid gain on the play. Not a liquid or a gas, and above all, just at least keeps us on schedule, as Whitfield throws to the right-hand side, tries to get it out to Hayward, but Hayward cannot bring that particular pass in. So instead of a first down, we are looking at a 3rd and 5 from about the 40-yard line. We'll see what Whitfield and company can hook us up with, as now Whitfield, with an empty set, drops back, looks over to the left-hand side, and wanted DeAndre Bossier down the sideline. But because he was hit as he threw, he couldn't get everything that he wanted on it. And so with that being said, we had to punt the ball away, but it's not going to take too much longer before we actually get the ball back in our hands once again, because we do end up finding a way to go out and make another 3 and out happen, as that will give us some momentum going into the final quarter of action, as we will not only have the ball, but we have a 17-10 lead going into the final quarter of action. And the only thing that we got to do is finish the job. So let's see if our boys can come out and get this win and finally get into that win column for the first time here in year number 5 of this UFL Team Builder Dynasty, as we'll get things started here with Leon Thomas going to move the 6 for the first down, and it'll create another red zone opportunity, but we're going to make sure that it doesn't fall on deaf ears. So as 3rd and 9, Whitfield is actually going to run for the first down and just barely gets it. Marvin Whitfield using every little bit of that mobility and moving the sticks, using those legs. We'll see if he uses those legs a second time now that we have 3rd and goal from the 7. Whitfield drops back, looks over the middle of the field. He's got Leon Thomas, and Leon Thomas is actually going to do the rest of the work himself. Touchdown, Dayton! And Leon Thomas is going to help extend the lead for the Dayton Triangles. Now going to be up 24-10. And while the job is certainly not finished yet, at the same token, this is the biggest lead that Dayton has procured this entire season, as Jeff Sharp can't bring him down either. That should have been a loss. How does Dockery able to get out of all of that? That is wild to me. And instead, it's going to be another 1st down, and we might have just bailed out Salt Lake City, as it looks like they are going to call a encroachment penalty on our 1st-round linebacker from USF in J.J. Peters, one of your guys' customs as well. So instead of it being 2nd and 9, it's actually going to be 2nd and 4 instead. And right out of the gate, they're going to pick up a 1st down following the penalty. So Salt Lake City certainly showing signs of life as we get to the last 4 minutes of this ball game, as Daugherty is going to drop back, looks over the middle of the field, and Denario Allen does help Nick Gadden make the tackle, but unfortunately, we reacted to it a little bit late, but Denario Allen will make up for it on literally the very next play, gets a deflection down on the goal line, and it's going to be 2nd and goal instead. Looking over the left-hand side, wanted to throw it out, but Paul Hitchens gets his 3rd sack of the day, and it makes it 3rd and goal from the 9. But of course, we give up a touchdown in the back of the end zone. That was Ty Moody that gave up the back pylon to Glenn Harding. And because of his particular touchdown, it's going to be knocked down to just a 1-possession game. But thankfully for us, though, we are able to run the rest of this clock out. We'll go ahead and take a knee just to make sure that Salt Lake City does not touch this ball ever again. And so there was a little bit of excitement there towards the end, I'm not going to lie to you, but your Dayton Triangles find a way to win their very 1st game of the season. Alright, man, so it just feels good to get that proverbial monkey off of our back, man, and winning our very 1st game of the season. And it's because our defense actually showed up to play, allowing less than 20 points in this one, allowing less than 250 yards of total offense as well. And we also dominated that time possession. I think that's our winning formula moving forward. Maybe not so much relying on those explosive plays, but getting as many methodical drives as possible. And listen, Marvin Whitfield, I thought, did a pretty good job today in terms of managing the game. He was 21 for 28 in this one for 214 yards and 2 touchdowns. Did a really good job of making sure that we did not put the ball in harm's way under any circumstances. However, with that being said, we definitely struggled to run the ball in this one. I mean, Jonathan McGriff, yes, he got 80 yards, but he needed to do that in 28 carries. He also did get a rushing touchdowns, but just not a lot of running room today. And this applies for both Marvin Whitfield as well as Heath Whitehead, our third-year player out of California. However, what I will say is that DeAndre Bonsier once again puts together an extremely nice performance. 7 catches for 89 yards. He's turning into a really good target for us here in his 4th year in the league. Leon Thomas, however, was the guy that got all the credit, though. He did multiple grabs with 8 catches and 72 yards. But nobody outside of Leon Thomas and DeAndre Bonsier were consistent weapons. Nobody else had more than 2 catches in this ball game. However, shout out to the defense, though, as the defense played its best game in the season, which we absolutely love to see. Niles Cotton and Jeff Sharp, the 1st-round rookie out of USC, led the team in tackles in this one, as they both had 8 tackles in the game. But we had a surprising person that came out here and put together a monster performance in getting to the quarterback. Paul Hitchens, our backup linebacker, getting demoted with the drafting of Jeff Sharp. He has 3 sacks in the game, showing that he is still a quality linebacker in this league, with Cameron Spencer also getting a sack as well. And not to mention Jordan Baptiste and Jamin Bromley, who we happened to bring in through free agency. They both had half a sack as well. We were not able to force any turnovers, but with that being said, this was our best defensive performance of as far this year. Then we actually did have a custom play in this game here today. Mabu Sakin, who wore number 31 for Salt Lake, second-year player out of Alabama. He did come out and have 4 tackles in this game, but he didn't do anything too terribly crazy in this one either. But right after the game, though, one of our rookies in Jody Gentry, he was a 5th round pick for us, actually does get an upgrade that we are going to utilize. Jody Gentry not getting a ton of run in game aside from special teams in his rookie year, but we will work on building upon his strength, that is being a deep threat for us. And that's going to carry him up to a 72 overall with pluses in catching traffic, deep route, and spectacular catches as well, which is critical in one-on-one matchups. Joe Gentry, for someone that was just a 5th round pick, turning into a pretty solid player for us, a quality depth piece for sure. But even though we did end up winning our very first game of the season, at the same time, though, we can't be celebrating too terribly much. And that is because we do happen to have our divisional rival coming into our building next week, and it is going to be a critical division matchup in order for us to get back into the thick of things within our division. Next episode, what we will end up having is another primetime matchup here at New Welcome Stadium, as we will be welcoming the Pittsburgh Maulers in the next episode. But I'll leave this for next time, man. Feels so good in order to win our very first game of the season. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one as we try to get on our first winning streak here of year number 5. If you enjoyed this video, man, make sure you do a couple of things for me. Hit that like button, and then also hit that subscribe button as well if you do happen to be brand new to the channel. Visit John J Gaming on the mic, signing off. Hoping you guys are all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.